So good morning, greetings, dear colleagues, members of the public, and the candidate. Today on Thursday, the advisory group of experts has gathered in full composition to interview the candidate for the position of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, Mr. Oleksandr Eduardovich Radutnyi, who is an associate professor at the Department of Criminal Law of the Yaroslav Mudry National Law University, and who was admitted to the competitive selection by the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. The interview will be moderated by the secretary of the advisory group of experts, Mr. Yaroslav Romaniuk, and that is why I'm passing the floor to him. So, Mr. Secretary, please.
Дякую.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, dear Alexander. Good morning, members of the public and dear colleagues. Mr. Oleksandr Eduardovich, all 6 AG members are present for the interview with you. Our chairman, Mr. Alex Zalar, who will be present online, and AG members Ms. Hanna Sochotska, Ms. Maureen O'Connor, Ms. Natalia Kuznetsova, and Ms. Oksana Vasilchenko are present here. Other alternate AG members are also in attendance, namely Thomas Griffith, Richard Barrett, Marek Zubik, Vasil Shakun, and Volodymyr Kuzmenko, and me, the AG Secretary Yaroslav Romaniuk. Mr. Oleksandr Eduardovich, we had time to accumulate information about you, and we express our gratitude for your communication, for provision of the answers to the question posed to you. We obtained a lot of positive information, but still there are some issues that we would like to clarify. And today, during the interview, we would like to relieve any doubts regarding your good moral character. This is the main goal of today's interview, that to disprove any doubts and any issues about your good moral character. I also would like to say that the candidate may not provide information, documents, or other materials during the interview if the advisory group requested their provision earlier and the candidate did not provide them within the specified period, or if the candidate could provide them on their own initiative earlier. However, the advisory group may make an exception if it determines that such an exception is justified. Mr. Oleksandr Eduardovich, I would like also to inform you that the interview is being recorded and streamed live on the AGE resources as well as on the website of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. Therefore, I call upon the AG members and the candidate to limit the use of sensitive data and limited access information on live air. So the translation will be stopped and such data and information will be discussed without live streaming for the purpose of non-disclosure. I would like also to draw your attention to the fact that the duration of the interview is approximately 1 hour. I ask you to be concise and laconic, and the time limit for the response to a question is 3 minutes. Our international experts do not possess knowledge of Ukrainian language, they are English-speaking, so please, if needed, you have opportunity to use the headset. Blue light means that there is simultaneous translation into Ukrainian. Also, at the end of the interview, the candidate may make a short closing statement up to 5 minutes. And now we're ready to start our interview, and I pass the floor to the reporters on your candidacy. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Good morning, Mr. Oleksandr. I would like to start with the questions about your activity in social networks. My first question is, on your Facebook page, on the 16th of June 2014, you shared a material titled Yevgeny Kilbo, no more than 8 million will survive in Ukraine, which was overly Ukrainophobic. In addition, you published 2 posts in 2014 on social media of Contakte, which were quite ambiguous, one concerning the Navy of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and another containing criticism of the Euromaidan, where participants of peaceful protests are called putschists, and the topic of the post is aimed at criticizing Ukraine's political course for European integration chosen after peaceful protest on Maidan. The question is, do you confirm that you have shared the said materials on your social media accounts? And what was the purpose of your sharing such posts? Good morning. Can you please speak a bit louder and closer to the microphone? Thank you for the opportunity to provide my explanation and clarify the moments that can create any doubts. As for these posts and publications, especially on Facebook page, it dated the year 2014. Today, I cannot get through this link because there is a share to the blocked Russian resource and there is no legal access to it. That's why I cannot check the full and complete text of this publication. Maybe something drove my attention to it, but you understand that sometimes the editing committee doesn't share the thoughts of the authors, and I think the person who posts also can have some issues like this. In the context of 2014, this link maybe needed some comments or explanations. As I see, there are no comments and explanations under this link. So the narrative of Russian propaganda was obviously clear in 2014 and didn't need any explanation. It was about the post on the Facebook page. I understand that today it can create some doubts. That's why I tried to eliminate it from the Facebook, but it is not possible to do in this social media, and it is possible just to restrict and to block access to this post, what I did. As for other publications, the social media of Contakte. Since 2018, this social network, when Russian net resources were blocked, it prevailed. And it was more popular and more used than Facebook. I mean, this social media of Kontakte and Odnoklassniki. Then, most of the people passed to some other online platforms. The publication we are talking about dated 2014. I do not confirm that I made such referrals. In your inquiry, there is link not to my publication, but just to the link that I reposted from some other's page. It doesn't correspond to my position at all, because you mentioned 3 publications. We have 3 time limit. Try to be laconic and concise. I would like to drive your attention that it is known that these platforms and social networks are managed by the enemy forces of the Russian Federation. So since 2014, without any access to these platforms, there could have been a lot of fakes. To explain what is the difference between my publications and fake posts, I presented you examples from other documents with my signature, with my subscription of my name and translation into English. Thank you so much. The next question. In the Russian social network Odnoklassniki, you follow groups related to Russian law enforcement agencies and armed military units. How can you explain your interest in the Russian law enforcement and armed military units? No. Thank you, your answer is clear. Can I explain? No, thank you. You said no. You said that you do not follow. Can I say a couple of words? I saw on the... You see, when we talk about the page, you see that there is the button to enter. And if you see this button, it means that I haven't entered this group. There are a lot of different groups, like, for example, women's clothes or On the Wave of Love. And all of them, they suggest my following, but I haven't done it. Thank you. Let's pass to the next question. In the declaration of the candidate for the position of a judge of Constitutional Court of Ukraine for 2022 submitted on the 13th October 2023, you specified that on the 3rd of June 2022 you acquired ownership of the 2020 Ford Escape automobile worth 90,000 Ukrainian hryvnias, $3,076 at the NBU exchange rate as of the 3rd June 2022. In the declaration for 2022 submitted on the 26th of January 2023, you specified the cost of this vehicle 70,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. So what is the actual cost of the car and how it can be confirmed? Thank you for your question. When I started to fill in the declaration, not being a subject to declaration, I had no experience, no advisors, no people who could consult me. The question about the cost of the car is the same as my availability to get access to registers with this cost. Today, thanks to the fact that in the February I learned about this sum, I know that it is published 255,000. But we can know about this car or from the purchase agreement that is absent, or if we send an inquiry to some relevant agencies and to have possible answer about the car of manufacture, about the color, etc. Mr. Oleksandr, it's not the question how we can establish the cost. My question is, how can you confirm these sums, these costs? So you are the person who purchased this car. You paid for this automobile. And how can you explain these sums, 90,000 and 70,000? So, for example, is there any document that can confirm that you have paid? Because this payment were done by you. And my question is how you stated when filling in this declaration with or without consultants the sum for this purchase, and how can it be confirmed? It's not about an abstract from the register, but you as a person who paid for this car. Any document such as purchase agreement doesn't exist, because this car wasn't purchased as a car. It wasn't bought from a shop, car shop. It was delivered to Ukraine as damaged transport mean that cannot be used properly. So for customs clearance, it was taken into account not as a car. Okay, we will talk about it later, but I talk about your fill-in declaration and confirmation of the documents. So why in two different declarations there were two different sums indicated, 90,000 and 70,000? Again, I repeat, I have documents in which there are no sums indicators. But how did you pay? I paid different sums. What do you mean? At first, I paid for auction because it was purchased from the auction after the traffic accident. How did you pay? Through private bank. So you have the documents. All the documents are at the state registrator of this car. And I have only a certificate because after its delivery to Ukraine, after its repair, it wasn't seen as a car. After it had to be certified. And I had to present, so different documents should have been presented. I didn't have these documents because the brokers did it. And I have only two documents. This is the certificate and statement about registration. Thank you. Thank you. You clarified your vision of this discrepancy. On what grounds did you specify the cost of the vehicle in your declarations? I have the previous experience with the previous car I possessed. It also was delivered in Ukraine in a damaged mode. It couldn't be used properly, and I indicated the price that I paid for it. So I said, for example, I indicated 70,000, and then in the previous declaration I was said that this is not 70, it is 37,000. Okay. On the April 2023, you attended an interview at another competition. There you answered that you had bought the car for about 7,000 or 8,000 US dollars. Why didn't you indicate this price in your declaration but specify 90,000? It was my previous experience with the Suzuki Kizashi car that I had before, and I counted it by myself. I counted the discrepancy, and it was more or less 90,000. Yes, it was my error, but now I corrected it. So you already said that according to the information from the Unified State Register of Vehicles, the cost of this car amounts to 255,905 hryvnias. What steps did you take to find out the cost of the vehicle for the purpose of declaration? To know the cost, you should see the documents, but in my documents it wasn't stated. So you are not an ordinary person. You are associate professor, you deal with criminal law, you are PhD candidate, so you understand that there are different steps to find out what is the real cost. Yes. I said what I have done. I sent an inquiry to Service Center of Ministry of Internal Affairs, and I was answered that there was no cost. So these are all the legal modes that can be used currently.
Thank you. Next question. The advisory group of experts sent you a link to the website selling auctioned vehicles, which indicated that this car, full match based on the VIN code and car description, the Ford Escape released in 2020, was sold for $7,000, excluding the auction fee, transportation from the USA to the EU, the customs clearance, etc. How much did you pay for the vehicle following the results of the auction, as well as for the auction fee, transportation, and custom clearance? I'm thankful to the advisory body of experts, advisory group of experts, for the work you completed. Actually, this car was bought for $7,000. The transportation costed approximately $7,800. It coincides with the Ukrainian sum. according to the commercial exchange rate, it's around $7,500 US dollars. The price of this car changes, but it doesn't influence the way we should indicate it in the declaration. Next question: what are the sources of income for the purchase, auction fee, transportation, and custom clearance of this car? The source of money is the following. First, this car has a previous owner, and the purchase of this car was part of the plan to renew the goods to sell this car and buy another car. Moreover, the expenses were made during 3 years, since 2021 until 2023. So the source of money is the salary. For 2001, it's approximately 418,000 hryvnias. In the next year, it's 300,000, and in the following year, it's 219,000. So this sum was distributed among 3 years. So according to your explanation, this is the price, the sum of money you got from the sale of the previous car, Suzuki Kizashi, right? So how can you explain that you sold this car in 2023 and the car Ford was bought in 2021? Yes, in 2021 at the auction for 7,000. Yes, is it from your salary? Yes, it coincides. Okay, thank you. We got the answer. In your answer to the inquiry of the advisory group of experts dated 24th of January 2024, you indicated that the Ford Escape car was purchased after a serious car crash, had considerable damage, was in a technically defective condition, and could not be used as intended. So it could not be driven without external assistance. It required significant repairs, was imported into Ukraine and subjected to customs clearance under the norms of the current legislation, not as a vehicle, but as parts of the damaged vehicle that were grouped together in a certain way. How can you explain that the description indicated on the website and depicting the technical condition of the car at the time of sale is drastically different from your written explanations concerning the technical condition of the acquired vehicles? The organizers of the auction indicated completely different information. No, it coincided. This car was indeed after a serious car crash. It could not be used, it could not be driven. It's a way to buy vehicles for not rich people, instead of getting a car and getting a new car. We do this procedure. We import a vehicle that is considered to be parts of a vehicle grouped in a certain way, then it is repaired, and the information completely coincide. All the defects of this vehicle are indicated, so please pay your attention. $7,000 for a car sold in 2021, and the model is of 2020. The price indicates that it was very damaged. I would like to ask my colleague, the head of our AGE, to join the questions. Please, Mr. Eilish.
Thank you. I would like to ask you several questions with respect to your declarations. In section 3 of your declaration for the year 2021, you declared ownership of several real estate objects, including 2 apartments, 2 garages, and a residential house. At the same time, in the section on costs at the time of acquisition, or based on the latest monetary evaluation column, you indicated the value of only 1 Ukrainian hryvnia for each of these objects. Could you explain the reasons for indicating such a price of 1 hryvnia?
Дякую.
Thank you. These were mistakes I committed in the very beginning when I only started filing the declarations. They are corrected and I no longer repeat these mistakes. It was a lack of understanding. I thought that declaration is a kind of dialogue, but it appeared that it's not a dialogue, it's an exam, quite a strict one. Please pay your attention that one of the facilities was bought back in 1996 in the previous century, and it was bought for the currency which is non-existent today. I tried to convert this currency into hryvnias. On other occasions, I also tried to provide explanations as to 1 hryvnia, but it appeared that these were the mistakes. I corrected them. And the main thing I would like to underline, of course, the sum of 1 hryvnia draws attention. But none of these mistakes was aimed at concealing property, falsely decreasing its cost, and all the mistakes are corrected.
We will assess this based on the relevant regulatory framework and duties which applied to you. I have a next question. In section 6 of your declarations for 2018 and for 2021, you indicated that you did not know the price of the 2011 Suzuki Kizashi, which was bought on 28th April 2018. So you did not know the price. So why did you specify that you did not know the price of this vehicle?
Цей досвід
I made a mistake and repeated this mistake. My honest answer about the Ford vehicle and the Suzuki vehicle, the honest answer is that I didn't know. But declaration requires you to indicate a certain price, and once I indicated that it is unknown, another time I indicated 70,000, but it appeared that the correct answer was 37, however strange it may sound. And after that, I started indicating this sum with no further comments.
Any steps to find out the costs for the purpose of declaration at that time?
я вживав.
Yes.
I did take these steps.
What kind of steps?
These steps were reaching out to state institutions or looking through the documents.
the Unified State Register of Vehicles, because then you could easily find the cost of such a vehicle.
No. We can get the answer from the state register only about the date of the model, the color, the plate number, but the state register doesn't answer the requests of citizens or attorneys. They do not give the answer about the price, the cost of this vehicle. I am just a citizen and an attorney.
You are one of the founders of Praveda LLC when you own a 60% share of the charter capital, thus being an ultimate beneficiary owner. Is this correct?
Так.
Yes, it is correct.
Why did you not indicate this in your declarations in section 9 on legal entities, trust funds, or other similar organizations where the subject of declaration is an ultimate beneficial owner? Why didn't you declare this?
I didn't conceal this information. It is indicated in the relevant sections. The statutory capital is indicated there, and my share, they are reflected in the relevant sections of the declaration. To avoid any misunderstandings, I also concluded an agreement to govern corporate rights, and these corporate rights were transferred. And it is also related to other agents of commercial activity, and I don't have communication of other co-owners.
It's about declaration, so you haven't declared it. Next question with relation to this issue. Since 2021 and until the present, have you received any income from this Praveda?
I would like to underline once again that Praveda LLC, it's an enterprise, and my participation is not concealed. It is reflected in the declaration. Probably it isn't reflected in all the sections, namely this section about the ultimate beneficiary. Maybe it is another mistake, but in general this enterprise is reflected. I didn't get any dividends for the specified period.
Or any other kind of income? Nothing. You get nothing out of this. Is it true or not?
No, I didn't get anything. All the income stayed in the turnover of the enterprise for its development.
If there was something, you should declare. But you did not, right?
Їх не було.
There was no income, any kind of income. That's why I didn't declare it.
In December 2020, together with other persons, you founded Radutnyi Oleksandr and Partners Attorneys Association, where you own a 33% share of the charter capital. Are you an ultimate beneficial owner of this legal entity?
Так, як зазначено.
Yes, as it is indicated in the declaration, I am indeed a beneficial owner. Actually, it's there is no charter capital because it is Attorneys Association. There is no charter capital.
specify this in the relevant section of your declaration.
Зараз я
Now I understand that I indicated the whole information about the previous enterprise and the Attorneys Association in another section. I didn't conceal anything, and this section about the ultimate beneficiaries, probably I didn't understand that it should be done in this section, and it will be corrected.
What is the approximately income of this Attorneys Association for each year, starting with its foundation?
I do not have this information because I am not a managing body. The director is another person, and at the request of the advisory group of experts, I filed a request to get the documents for the AGE to get familiarized with it.
So, despite being a shareholder, you don't have any idea about the income of this legal entity.
я маю інформацію.
I have information I already shared with the advisory group of experts. That's all the information I got.
How was this income, which you do not specify, distributed between the founders of the company? And what kind of income you receive?
Дохід не
The income was not distributed, so the members didn't get any parts of this income. It stayed in the turnover of the legal entity for lease, for other maintenance purposes. It was not distributed among the participants.
Another question relates to non-declaration of your legal activities. My question is, what legal services did you provide in a period from 2021 to 2023 as a representative of interests of individuals and companies in judicial or other bodies? So what kind of legal services did you provide?
The whole list of services and entities was provided to the AGE with the confirming documents. There are several criminal proceedings. One of them I will not give the name of the title because it is public, but it has been lasting since 2019. I am an attorney there. This proceedings are still in court. It was transferred to the Supreme Court from Poltava, then it was transferred to Kharkiv. It is still ongoing. There is no income. And the person in this case is serving in the armed forces of Ukraine. No income from this case. In addition to these criminal proceedings, there is also a power of attorney from a citizen of Ukraine who resides outside of Ukraine. She had to formalize the inherited property, and I submitted all the documents to the notarial office. This case is not still finished, so the acts of performed works and provided services are not still signed, and no income that I have at the moment.
Have you received any remuneration for provided legal aid since 2021?
All the answers I have presented in the declaration and in my answers also for the inquiry of the experts. Now it's difficult for me to recall whether I have received any remuneration from any case for the year 2021.
Whether you receive anything for providing legal aid.
Зараз мені складно
Now it is difficult for me to say, but all the documents I have presented for the AGE.
Another question. According to the Unified State Register of Legal Entities, Individual Entrepreneurs and Public Organizations, you are a manager and representative of Kharkiv Design Bureau Ukrepshenishka. Sorry, I didn't spell it right for me to say this word. But you know what I'm talking about. Do you confirm this?
ні.
No, I cannot confirm it.
Why not?
I collaborated with this enterprise in 2008. I was its director. With the decision of General Assembly of the participants, and this is the highest body of this society, dated 1st of June 2008, I was fired on my wish from this position, so I quit. The decision enters in vigor from the moment of its adoption, so since the 1st of June 2008, I am a third party for this enterprise. At that period, the enterprise functioned, and it didn't require any actions from me for the inclusion of the information in the register. These are the rights for the next executive director. They could address the state register. Why they didn't do it? It was really unexpected misunderstanding for me. I was sure that it would have been done because without director it is impossible to conduct professional activity. For the year 2008, this enterprise functioned. There were employees, there was an accountant, the payments were done, remuneration retribution was accrued, so it was functionable. Without signature of the director, none of this operation can be done. So I had no doubt that the next day, after my quitting, this enterprise will address the state register and will indicate the new executive director.
But you didn't check the state register in that respect.
В чому не було потреби.
I didn't need to do it.
So no further steps were taken by you in this respect. I understand. Thank you. I have no further questions to you, and I pass the floor back to the Secretary of the Advisory Group of Experts.
Чи є запитання?
Are there any questions for the candidate from other members? If you permit, Mr. Oleksandr Eduardovich, all your answers were built on the fact that you, as a citizen, as a person, you didn't have to take any steps to conduct any activities. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that we are not discussing your legal status as citizen or physical entity. Here we are talking just about your high moral character and values as a candidate for the position of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. Being a lawyer, being a PhD in law, being a scientist, you said that as for the cost of your and price of your car, you didn't address this issue, you didn't know how to do it. So, being a lawyer, I have a question. Why you didn't address the lawyer who specializes in it, or any other specialist who can establish this? Can you explain why you do not take any possible steps and means to confirm or to debunk any issues and errors that you recognize that took place? Thank you. All the errors, after having the appropriate information, are corrected by me. This is about my previous car and about my current one. All the steps and all the efforts that are legal, I also take. But addressing the specialist, I would say it couldn't give the appropriate price, because this price could be established on different stage. For example, if we talk about the damaged car, it's not about the price of the car. Then if we talk about the repaired car that is already registered as a transport vehicle. So the specialist, as in an inquiry of the AG, there was a link for the fact that these cars were sold for the sum from 11 to 20,000. The same could be the evaluation of the expert. We are not talking about the real cost. We are talking about your integrity in filling in the declaration. So when you filled in information about your car, you could put there the information when you acquired it and when it was after reparation. And now you said that you mentioned the price at the acquisition date, but now you say that you didn't have this price. You didn't have any documents with mentioning it. Okay, I will make an assumption. If there had been a cost evaluation of the independent expert, it wouldn't have coincided with the number 37,000 of the previous car and 255,000 of the second car, so I would have obtained reproach in any case. Mr. Oleksandr Eduardovich, when we started the interview, we have informed you that we have quite a big volume of information about you. We express the gratitude to you for your communication with the AGE and providing your answers. And now the question is the following. For a row of questions, you said that I have presented the information before to the AGE, and AGE possesses this information. So you haven't expressed your desire to repeat this information in live streaming. Why? Shouldn't it be think that this information being not advantageous for you wouldn't provide and demonstrate your correspondence to the high moral value? Why you didn't repeat this information that you had already presented for the AGE? At first, I wanted to do it in a much more gentle manner, and I had time limit of 3 minutes for my answers, and there is nothing in the information presented that could compromise me. If now you give me the possibility, I have all my answers and I can voice them. Thank you. Ms. Hanna Sukhotska, please.
Yes, Mr. Oleksandr Radutnyi. I have some question and some doubts concerning your first answers to the question concerning your, I can say, publication on Facebook. You run for such a high position as judge of the Constitutional Court in Ukraine. It is the highest organ, legal organ in the Ukrainian state. And your posts on Facebook and your answer are very unclear. We would like to verify what is exactly your position concerning now the situations between Ukraine and an aggression from Russia to Ukraine, and how you can explain, because you didn't do it, your interest in the Russian law enforcement and armed military units here. You avoid to answer the question. In the first question, you were not very clear, but in the second one, put by Madam Kuznetsova, you refused to give a clear answer. It is of great importance now for the country, yes, who will be a judge in the Constitution Court. It is one of the crucial elements of the high moral value. How is your perception of the situation now? So I would like to know your, how to say, opinion, and to explain us more why you were so active in this case on your social media.
Дякую. Я так само.
Thank you. I'm also worried with the fact that this situation can provoke a doubt to my integrity and honesty. But we talk about a couple of information platforms. For example, when we talk about law enforcement and armed military groups in social media, I haven't followed them. I didn't activate them. They were offered for me to follow them. If I am suggested to follow such a group, it doesn't mean that I share these thoughts and I follow it. This is about the network Odnoklassniki. About the Facebook. The publication linked is not able to be read now. So we cannot pass through this link, open it, and see what was there. I think, as in any post, there could be something that is truthful and something that is not. The informational operations use it a lot, so my position is state and sound. It is pro-Ukrainian. And also, you said that I am not answering and I do not want to comment it publicly, but I would like to say that in this publication for 2014, I have presented my publication. So since that, these were referrals of mine and my publications that reflect my attitude towards the manipulation of people and Russian propaganda. It was April 2019. Also, there were posts about constitutional court and post against Russian aggression. It is the 31st of January 2019. We can address and we can see all these posts and publications. Only some of them are blocked. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Maureen O'Connor has a question, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Following up on the questions that you were just asked, just for clarification, one of the statements that is in question here was a criticism of the Euromaidan where the participants of peaceful protest are called putschists. Have you ever used that term in writing on social media? That's just a yes or no answer.
Ніколи.
Never. Never.
Word is used, or any of the other suspicious words and positions, you would say that you would attribute it to Russian interference of your Facebook page. Is that correct? Or Russian manipulation of your Facebook page?
I haven't said it about my Facebook page, but in Facebook, for example, my publication on the 25th of August 2017, where I state about the fact that all messages that are sent to Facebook users, these are not mine, these are fakes, because such situations happen. This is not about my attitude towards the world. I don't think that I am less worthy Melo Ross that it is written in such publication. I don't think it. I never use the words that you mentioned in this publication. My position, both in everyday life and in my teaching experience and in my social networks, and if we talk about my academic experience, I have a lot of confirmations from my students that communicate with me and have been communicating since 2014. So my answer is, I do not confirm, I do not share the vision in this post, and my position is unchangeable. It is for Europe, it is for democracy. You know, I was really very happy about all the reforms that took place and are taking place now.
Answers my question there. I have one more. And this is about the overarching impression that I'm getting, and maybe some of my colleagues. How can we expect you to sit on the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, which deals with complex legal matters that require logic and reason and diligence and comprehension, and yet you can't understand how to complete declaration forms, which not only someone with a PhD is required to fill out, but people with lesser education are required to fill out, and they do it correctly. So I'm at a loss as to how you can explain your abilities here.
If we talk about the declaration regarding this election procedure, there are practically no errors. They were corrected. All the errors were in 2019, and these errors didn't mean to distort or to hide anything. I think that if an error is not socially dangerous, and if a person recognizes this error and corrects it, this is a normal development. And today, the errors that you blame me about, they regard the periods when I wasn't a subject of declaration, when I didn't have background and experience and I didn't have information.
What you're saying here, and the breadth of scrutiny, that is being addressed and pursued by our secretariat, the investigators, and what we're talking about here. But you have to understand, we're not just interested in what you've been doing for the last 2 years, 3 years, etc. Your career is being scrutinized here because it's relevant. The people of Ukraine are entitled to know who you are. We need to know who you are in every dimension for us to make an intelligent, informed decision and live up to our obligations that we swore an oath to uphold. So, I'm sorry if you don't think that we should investigate, but that is what we do here with every candidate. So you're not being singled out. Thank you.
Чи є ще запитання членів?
Are there any other questions? Mr. Vasil?
Mr. Oleksandr, of course, we have to discuss not only the matter of declaration. It's good to look on your life, your way of life, that to some extent reflects your social status in Ukraine and possible status as a judge of a constitutional court. Do you have a family, a wife, children? What housing you have? What other real estate you have? Could you please briefly tell us what's going on with your personal life? Thank you for this question. I am married. I have 2 children. They are adults. They are over 18 years old. I have 2 daughters. As to the real estate, there are 2 facilities that I own together with my wife. One was bought in 1996. The second one was bought in 2002. So over 20 years ago. I don't have any other immovable property. Not me, not my children, not my ex-wife. I live modestly. I brought up my children. You said your ex-wife, so you are now divorced? No, I'm married for the second time. I got married for the second time. My first marriage was dissolved in 2013. After that, my one of my daughters started living on her own, and the second daughter, the younger one, was still living with me and my next wife. We brought her up. Now she's an adult and she lives her own life. Where does your wife work? My wife doesn't work temporarily. She worked in the she participated in the organization of the football championship in 2012. Then she continued working in this area, but for now she doesn't have a job. Are there any other questions? No. If there are no further questions, we are ready to close this interview with you. But Richard Borich, yes, please.
I would just like to ask one follow-up question, if I may, in relation to the law firms, because some of us are not familiar with the organisation of legal services in Ukraine, so it is a little unclear to us. From the information and the answers you gave to my colleague, you are a part owner of 2 enterprises which are law firms. Is that accurate? Pravida, and also the other law firm of Radutnyi, Romanenko and Partners. Are these 2 law firms?
The first one is a law firm. The second one is advocate association. These are different forms of property.
Do you work in these enterprises? Do you contribute to their work? Do you turn up in their premises and produce product for these enterprises?
The latter, the Attorneys Association, is aimed at supporting attorneys to support the capacity to perform your duties as a attorney on their own. Mr. Oleksandr, I would like to clarify this question. Are you, as an attorney, providing legal services at the request of the Attorneys Association? No. It was according to the individual request.
Indicated that you got no dividends or no earnings from these enterprises. That might sound strange to some of us, but is this what is your involvement with these enterprises if you are not getting remuneration or earnings from them? You might just explain that arrangement, which is not clear to some of us.
It is quite typical for legal system in Ukraine that attorneys association doesn't get huge income because its goal is to establish cooperation of several attorneys who can replace one another in a framework of some kind of cooperation. Mr. Oleksandr, but you said that you act following an individual order. Yes, but in a request from a client indicates 3 attorneys, which gives opportunity to all 3 of them to participate in court sessions depending on their time framework. So you provide services as an attorney, in particular as a participant in this attorneys association, right? Yes. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Oleksandr. And before we declare the interview closed, you have an opportunity to deliver your closing remarks for up to 5 minutes, please. First of all, I appreciate the work the AGE is doing. And actually, my goal and your goal coincide. Because I also want to dispel any doubts, disprove any suspicions, and I would like also to find the best candidates, and subjectively I would like to think that it's me. Because today we have a very harmonious situation. I have professional experience as an attorney. I have a teaching experience as a professor. I have an experience as a scientist. So my life experience allows me to be at the point to use it and to improve our judiciary. Subjectively, I am convinced that I am transparent, I am honest, I am open. I tried to demonstrate it today in particular, so thank you for your important work. Thank you, Oleksandr Eduardovich, for the responses. The interview with the candidate for a position of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, Radutnyi Oleksandr is closed.